Teachers in West Virginia, as you say, Anne-Marie, are back on the picket line again today in an effort to ensure their victory yesterday. That was the scene outside the doors of the West Virginia State Senate yesterday. Teachers from 54 out of 55 districts gathered to protest a bill that would have approved more spending for charter schools.
Now, state lawmakers say that they will table the bill indefinitely, but the teachers union will continue to strike to make sure the bill is officially canceled. So joining us now is author of The Future of Our Schools, Teachers, Unions, and Social Justice, Dr. Lois Weiner. Right? Weiner. I said it right to begin with. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Because we have been wanting to talk about this, not just what's happening in West Virginia, but it certainly seems like a movement has been afoot really sort of since last year, but we were talking, and it's long before last year, over the past 5 or 6 years or so. But let's talk about what's happening in West Virginia. Why are teachers so upset about this bill?
Well, first of all, it's an omnibus bill that has so many things that are destructive to public education and to the people of West Virginia and the kids of West Virginia. I can't just single anything out. Changes in state funding, charterization, health care, teacher pay, school funding, just you name it. If it's rotten, it's in this bill. The other thing I want to say is actually teachers from 55 out of 55 were out, in part because one superintendent didn't close down the schools, but school bus drivers and parents helped the teachers close down the schools. So West Virginia is out. 55-55. Yeah. It's community support is just incredible for the teachers. Yeah. It's just so deep.
Yeah, so over the course of this year that they've been striking, has it been successful, I guess is the question.
Well, the point is that we have to see this omnibus bill as a retaliation for the success of the movement. And we're seeing these kinds of omnibus bills all over the country. This is a very powerful movement with popular support and powerful elites that especially control the Republican Party and the state legislatures are striking back in an attempt to crush it. And this West Virginia strike is teachers and communities saying, parents saying, no, we're not going to be crushed. We're not going to allow you to get away with this. And I think it's important to realize that this strike may go on beyond today because the teachers and community supporters, not just the official union, I want to make that clear. This is a mass social movement that is not controlled by the unions.
Because it certainly seems like the unions, or the places that we've seen some of the strikes, the unions have sort of lost a lot of ground.
The unions as an apparatus, as an official organization, have, but this mass movement that is actually a reform current within the unions that has reached out for parent and community support and has gotten it, is transforming the unions.
So can we talk specifics here? Because I think that we're seeing in a lot of these school districts that have walked out or where there are threats to walk out, some themes, right?
Yes.
There's a movement towards funding private schools or charter schools. There have been discussions about healthcare and just how much the teachers should pay versus, you know, what's being provided by the city. And a lot of the pushback from municipalities is, and we saw this in California, we just can't pay for this. We can't afford to have classrooms of only 20 kids. Sorry, it's going to have to be 35, 40.
Right. So a very important part of the West Virginia omnibus bill was to shift funding to the local school districts and take it away from the state. And that's part of the reason that there's a strike here, is that the teachers are insisting that the state pay its fair share and that the schools be well funded. So we have school funding, which involves supplies for teachers, supplies for kids, maintenance of school buildings. We send kids to school in this country with mold on the walls, and in Detroit with rats nibbling at the kids' feet.
You know, my friend Nicole Hannah-Jones, who's written a lot about education in this country, has said you can always tell a country and where it's going by how it invests in its schools.
Right.
Where are we headed over the course of the next 5 years, and how important will teachers be in 2020 as we come up across a presidential election?
I think that
in the political process.
I think this movement is reversing what's occurred for the last 15 years, which has been privatization, defunding, narrowing the curriculum through use of standardized testing, creating charter schools, which leech off money from the public sector, closing schools. And I think what we're going to see in 2020 is that these issues are going to be put on the front burner. That's what this movement is about. It's not about individuals, although I have to point out that there is among the leadership of this movement support for the ideas that Bernie Sanders first advanced in the 2016 election. But this movement is not connected necessarily to a particular candidate. It is about those ideas.
So before we let you go, though, I got to just sort of throw the counter argument so you can respond.
Yes.
You know, the counter argument to the charter school thing is like, this gives parents the option to send their kids to the schools that they want to send them to. And so parents have the choice to give their children the education that they think is most fitting. Why shouldn't they be able to do that with their tax, with their own money?
I think we have to acknowledge historic, terrible inequalities in public education in this country that are related to income and race. Absolutely, we have to say that. At the same time, we have to understand that the solution has been to destroy the public system, not to create choice, to destroy it. And that's the reason that the roots of this movement were really parents of color organizing against the closing of their neighborhood schools.
The book that you wrote is called The Future of Our Schools.
Yes.
Lois Weiner, thank you so much for stopping by. Really fascinating discussion. We appreciate it.